That's how I initially got like in with Yoda.
How do we balance that?
Sometimes I'll have to make my own music.
It can be so much more cost effective to do a production through like a team of 4 creators.
They don't want to pay like millions when they can pay like a few $100K.
Specifically KFC Portugal.
Your TikTok is very niche.
It is.
Generating enough income that I could pursue this full time if I wanted to.
Don't give anyone your best work, because then you can't go up from there.
But
Can we swear? Just post a bunch of shit. Post shit on YouTube. Post a bunch of shit on YouTube now. It's gonna be shit.
Use like 5 of your swear word buffers.
He's used all of ours.
Ladies and gentlemen, animals and aliens, welcome back to my podcast show, let's call it that. Today I'm trying out a bit of a new concept, a bit of a creator session. I've got 3 of my close friends joining me here, Oli Amos, Roux and Vorster Van Zyl. They're all kind of content creators in the industry that I've worked with across the years and have adored on social media and been entertained by, and had secretly judging me because they're definitely a lot more skilled at what they do than I am. So I'm very thrilled to have the 3 of you joining me here. Thank you all for putting up with me and helping me with the setup today. We've got so many cameras everywhere.
yeah, a lot. Anytime, man, anytime.
Vorster, you've just made the switch from Canon through to Sony, and now we've got kind of 5 Sonys lined up here. What's your experience been with the FX3?
Dude, I should have made the switch like long ago. Like shooting on Sony is just like, it's so different. Because like on Canon, I was like, bro, it's kind of similar. Like you get like the same, like kind of like similar frame rates and stuff. And I mean, like it's also like 4K and stuff. But just like the dynamic range is so much more on the FX3. You can just do so much more when you start editing. And it was crazy because like I was used to, because I didn't want to switch for the Canon colors because I just love the skin tones. I'm still on the kind of like the orange kind of skin tones. But I was like a little bit nervous because, you know, in Sony you normally get like a little bit more of like a greenish tint. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then when I made the switch, I was like, fuck, I should have done this a long time ago. So I'm loving the camera, yeah.
Okay, that's one swear word down. We got like six more to go. Vorster's asking before, are we allowed to swear on this? So we limited. We got a swear cap. Oli, I know you very unfortunately recently lost your Red cinema camera, but you've obviously worked with the A7 S3 for a long sort of period of time. You missing Red, wanting to go back there? What's kind of the route forward now that you've, I'm going to say, been forced by life to reassess what you're shooting with?
I think like shooting with the Komodo was super cool. I think you should always look to buy gear that changes the way you approach filmmaking. I think a Komodo is a pretty expensive way to do that, but like now I'm shooting with vintage lenses, I have an underwater housing. It's like just approaching filmmaking differently, and I think the Komodo was something that really helped with that, is that you're fully manual, you're shooting raw, and it was super fun. I mean, 16-bit color depth is unreal to use, and being able to change your white balance and ISO and post is insane. But you go out and you shoot, like if you want to just go out and shoot like a little sunset mission, you come back after an hour of shooting with like 200 gigs of footage.
Yeah, and your hard drive costs are going through the roof.
Yeah, it's like, where am I putting this footage?
Yeah, so you bankrupt yourself buying the camera
and then
paying
the hard
storage.
Drive. Exactly.
What actual storage mechanisms were you trying to use with that or were you just kind of just buying drives just to keep up with everything?
Just buying drives. So I mean, when it came to client work, I would sort of, as part of the quoting process, be like, cool, you'll buy a hard drive where I'll keep just your footage on. I'll keep the hard drive, but I'll just have your footage on and keep that separately. So I wasn't having to go out and buy my own drives time and time again.
That makes things a lot easier. I think it's difficult, at least in my perspective, coming from the freelancer only sort of perspective where a client kind of expects you to do everything, to working in the more professional or at least better paying jobs where clients don't, I'm going to say, take those leniencies with the creators, and they're actually willing to fork out to pay for actual storage of content and all of that in a more professional sort of workflow. Henry, I know your journey to content creation has been I'm going to say maybe a little bit more similar to mine, but a bit maybe different to say Oli's being like very creative from sort of day one. You studied BCom in Manac at Stellies.
Yeah.
How did the content creation journey sort of start for you? How did you get roped into all of this?
Well, I think I started off shooting like very basic cameras, and that has also spilled into kind of the work that I do now. where I like filming so much that I just kind of shoot on anything as long as I can film. Like I'm so in love with that process and just like getting stuff out. So I did Manac 2018 to 2021, and then through studying, got to play around with some cameras. Made the decision one day to just try some YouTube videos out, and then some of them were like really average, really awkward, and really horrible. But I've kept the better produced ones on my YouTube. But from that process started like the love to really get content out, regardless of whether it's my content, and just share the way that I see the world like via video, and like enlighten up everything that I'm able to capture. Just spread a positive vibe via video. But sorry, what was the question?
I've kind of forgotten now, but I'm very impressed by your background getting into everything.
Oh yeah, so the kind of the approach that I took, I started just shooting newbar for fun with friends, because I was in there one day with my camera.
For those that don't know, New Bar is a, let's call it a club in Stellenbosch.
Establishment.
A rich and varied history, a very clean environment, beautiful floors.
No, we make it look clean and beautiful and without any brandy fights. But yeah, I was there one night with my camera to shoot YouTube, and then the owner of New Bar saw me with a tripod like skitting on the dance floor, and he was like, "Hey dude, do you want to shoot for me?" But at that stage, I've never done any paid projects, and I was like, "Oh yeah." I tried to remember what software like people normally use, because I didn't use any like proper software. And he was like, "Yo, what software do you use?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, Adobe. Adobe is it." So I went back home, agreed to do a test shoot for him. I downloaded Lightroom and Premiere Pro. No, not Premiere Pro. I used Lightworks, for like 2 years before I switched to Premiere Pro. So I used Lightroom, the only thing that I paid for. And then off we went for like a year. I just shot straight up New Bar. And when you guys started with Curate, that's when I got roped into other shoots. And only then really like the possibility opened of doing projects full-time, which is now like 3 years down the line, what we're doing.
Was it a daunting experience, obviously, because you finished up your degree at Stellenbosch? Was it daunting to kind of finish that up, have the sort of option of a traditional accounting sort of career path lined up and very much on the vision board, and then to say, okay, no, I'm going to take a bit of a left turn here and go full-time into content creation, especially as a freelance content creator where it's not really a stable sort of job from day one? How was that a difficult decision for you? Was it something that you were just kind of called towards?
It was quite natural, to be honest. When I finished third year, that's when you get your degree, and I was like, I'm not ready for the working world yet. I don't want to do this. I feel like I need some sort of further skill development, and I got the opportunity to do honors, which I'm really grateful for. And then halfway through honors, at that stage I was still like really convinced I was going to go for corporate and be like in business and stuff. And then halfway through honors, I was like, hey, this side hustle that was just out of passion is kind of generating enough income that I could pursue this full time if I wanted to, and I'll be okay. And then when I finished up honors, I was like, I'll give myself 2 years to see if this is feasible. And now this is year 3. So yeah, it went really, really well.
Then I think definitely from my perspective, and Oli and Vorster, I'm not sure if you guys have got your systems ironed out or not, but you're probably the right man to ask about how freelance content creators should go about structuring the way they do business to maximize their tax compliance. What's I know this is a very boring topic and very, very niche down, but what do we do? What should we do?
I won't give tax advice because I'm not a tax practitioner, but
I'm not a taxpayer.
This is not financial advice.
I do pay tax, but I do try to limit and at least minimize the amount that I pay. And I think having the management accounting background really helped a lot, because we did tax and honors specifically as a module. So really my approach to like setting up a creative business and tax is to be as lean as possible. So I really try to like minimize the expenses that I go on in terms of like variable stuff. Gear I will kind of upgrade whenever I see fit in terms of like my current gear lacking, not necessarily like just to buy the latest and the greatest, but really when like I've already kind of had a ROI on my gear in that sense. But I also don't want to limit myself to old gear necessarily. So I really play it by ear and by feeling, but it is at the end of the day a business decision. The cool thing about being a creative is like I operate as a sole proprietor. So I get to deduct tax trips and like the Premiere Pro subscriptions and like all the editing assets and those things, which like I really value getting that tax deduction because it's something that I do and like doing naturally. So kind of even if I would have had a corporate job, I would have maybe done some filming on the side as well. And now I get to like kind of deduct that first before paying SARS, which is nice in business. And I'm sure like with you guys setting up a company as well, you get kind of the benefit of that you like have this passion for filmmaking, but it also makes business sense.
No, 100%. I think it's sometimes a little bit daunting for freelance content creators to go about, okay, cool, I've now learned the skills or at least developed the skills to a point where I can maybe get paid for the work that I'm doing, which is very exciting. Now it's a way for me to make a living. But now you've got to go think about, do I need to formalize this into a company structure? Are there different ways that I can go about it? How do I go about being both a creative, which is an art in itself, and also the business person sort of behind that? Oli, I haven't asked you about this in person yet, but I know you're wearing the Obsessed sort of shirt. And I know I don't know if dabbled is the right word, but you've committed to launching sort of a fashion line. And now I see on your Instagram it says Obsessed Productions as well. Yeah. What is Obsessed? Is it a formalized sort of structure yet? Or what's the plan?
I mean, legally not formally structured, as in it's not registered company. It's just sort of a brand that I've sort of started. I wanted to start it 3 years ago as just clothing. But I did the clothing, it was a year ago now. And I just enjoy the brand sort of feel and the look of it that I created. So now I just sort of will have everything underneath that umbrella. So I have the productions, the clothing, and whatever else really comes up.
Okay, because you've taken off in sort of, I'm going to say, the South African festival scene, especially in the last, I'm going to say, year and a half odd, where you've, I think, gone from shooting one or two of the bigger festivals to now managing the teams that are actually running those. How different has that experience been, I'm going to say, managing a team versus actually just being an operator on the day?
Yeah, it's stress. I think, I mean, as a perfect example, New Year's Eve, so I won't say who it was, but we shot a pretty big festival that the festival owner initially was like, cool, we need 10 video shooters and 4 photos.
Just to interrupt you there, you didn't just shoot one festival, you also organized teams for other festivals on the exact same day. So as if managing one team of 10 plus isn't a logistical challenge in itself, like you're really taking on a lot here. But sorry to interrupt you there.
So I mean, they initially were like, cool, we want 10 for video, 4 for photo. And I said, I don't know if I can find 10 guys who aren't already booked,
especially on New Year's Eve, because I mean the season is a thing, and like you know that is the one night of the year where people either want to chill out and relax with their families, or where they are making bank and charging double almost to 2 people. Yeah,
because then also I mean if people do get booked, invariably if they're good, they'll get booked like a year in advance. It's like they get booked on New Year's Eve the previous year. So I found 8 people that I was like, cool, happy with this group. Because there are a bunch of people who are either busy or just not wanting to work. And then you've got to manage a full team. You've got to send out people to get specific shots, and you just have to trust that they're getting it. Because you don't really have time to say, okay, just show me all of these shots that I asked you to get, and do that with 8 people. While still having to, because I had to do live edits as well.
You woke up at like, you went to bed at like 6.
Literally,
I saw that.
Yeah, dude. So we did live edits, and then they always want a thank you sort of edit right at the end. We finished shooting at about 2, go home, dumping all the footage, and then you start the process of going through like a terabyte of footage to make a 15-second edit. But it is stress, I think, because stuff comes up during the night that you can't really prepare for. But I think it is fun.
What sort of logistical headaches bear their ugly head? Without giving away too many specifics or letting the bus roll over anyone.
I think, I mean, on the day, I think everyone did their jobs like perfectly. I don't think I can't really complain. Maybe it would have been cool if some guys had just gotten more shots. Because the brief is 80 reels and an after movie.
80 reels.
Yeah, and to get 80 reels of every reel with different shots and not just reusing footage, it takes like terabytes of
Yeah.
footage.
Just scrubbing through a terabyte of footage in itself takes like days.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
I can barely make 5 reels without reusing shots.
Yeah, it's
or at least a similar looking shot,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Have you made
Of
the
like one
any yet?
stage.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah,
Yo.
it's the same. Like for Plet Rage, I had to make 100. I mean, fortunately, a lot of that 100 was just like one clip,
Oh, like a single clip.
single clip,
Yeah.
raw audio.
Yeah, that
just
helps a lot.
degrade,
Yeah.
and then that goes up.
Damn.
100 frames becomes your best friend.
Funnily enough, we actually didn't do that often because then the problem is you have to reuse a song, and I can't find like 40 cool songs that are royalty free to use for real.
Finding audio is like absolutely impossible. Are you finding most of your stuff nowadays through like Artlist, or what are you actually using? Because I know you got a music background as well.
Yeah.
Close friends with Jason,
Yeah.
who does some phenomenal sound design
Yeah.
work, and you're quite, musically gifted yourself. Like,
Thank you.
how often are you like creating sounds from scratch versus where do you find stuff?
It's a lot of. I mean, for my own stuff, it's just whatever I find on Instagram. But for client work, it's Artlist, unlicensed, unreleased stuff that you would find on SoundCloud. That's not sort of copyrighted or anything. And sometimes I'll have to make my own music. You just go onto something like Splice, find loops, cut them together, add some drums or whatever, and then you have a track. Because I mean, most reels you're making for a client are like 10 to 20 seconds, so it doesn't need to be like a whole song. It just needs to be an interesting 20 seconds. Yeah, that's about the process.
Jeepers, no. I think the logistical nightmares of balancing that sort of team logistics and executing on those deliverables is such a tricky sort of thing, because I know you're a ninja editor in yourself, but there's only so much one person can do in those sort of situations.
To lose your mind at about the 56th reel and then you just push on.
You found that spot now.
Yeah, it's around 56.
and you start twitching.
Yeah,
again.
and you just yeah.
Oh my goodness. When the three of you arrived earlier today, fortunately we're filming at my apartment today and I had a lot of assistance in getting everything set up today, so if the lighting's bad, it's not my fault. And Oli obviously saw you arrive and Henry arrive. Vorster, I didn't see you arrive, so I know that you're a man who's generally gallivanting around in the latest car from whichever brand. Is that on the agenda today in Cape Town? Or
Unfortunately not. Hopefully soon. Then
You've
we
been
can-
involved in some awesome automobile projects during the last couple of years. How did that sort of come into being, and how did you get involved in that?
I've tried. I don't know. Like, I feel like the first actual thing that kind of like gave me like a lot of recognition was one thing I did for Mercedes, which was like last year, and I actually sent them an email 3 years prior to that, and they responded 3 years later on that email, and they were like cool, like we actually missed your email. Would you be able to still do this? And I was like, fuck yeah, I would.
3 years.
And
How do you
yeah,
find an
literally
email
3 years later, which was insane. And then they sent me a car, and I made a little video for them, and they actually didn't expect, because I did it for free. I just told them like, I'll do it for free. The first one is free for you guys, just to see what I can do, because obviously they're like all these companies, they have like agencies doing everything for them, so they don't really need creators like shooting stuff, and they don't really have a budget for that normally. So I was like, cool, I'll do it for free for now. They sent me the car, and I gave them like a little video. Like, we just went out, like me and a bunch of my friends, we just filmed like a few things. And then after that, when they saw the video, they were like, holy shit, we didn't expect like you to do all of this, because obviously like I don't think like when people do like a free thing, like I don't think they expected someone to just like do as much as I did. And then they were like super surprised, and they were like, we definitely want more. And then luckily from that, the guy that sent me the car, he moved over to Audi. So then I still had my in with Mercedes, but I had a new in with Audi as well. So that was actually perfect. So it just worked out perfectly. And through that, just like making all the connections. Like prior to that, I did have like a few connections, but like nothing that actually got me directly in with like the company. So that was like really, really fun. So enjoying that.
It's interesting to note, because I think a lot of times the bigger corporates, like they still have a social media presence, but their shoots run through agencies always, and they find it difficult to trust like smaller creators. It's trickling down, and more projects are coming like our way, but I think there's a lot of scope for them to trust creators like in small teams more than just the agency. They often run everything through the agency, but like it can be so much more cost effective to do a production through like a team of 4 creators.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for them because they have to get special permission to have creators, like also like feature creators content, because I think they kind of like, they have like a contract with the agencies and they have to say like, cool, like we're not going to post anyone else's, because obviously the agency, they have to cover for themselves, because like they charge like a few $1,000,000 for a shoot. And then like a small creator charge like way less, but it kind of looks kind of the same, you know? So it's like now they have to be like, you can't use any other creators, you know? And that's why it's so difficult getting in. But I think like a lot of them are like kind of like making it a little bit more loose, and kind of like bringing in more creators, because they see like they can trust like a small crew that costs way less and you get like the same product out of it, you know?
Do you think a big sort of help with that when you're approaching the brands is kind of wearing both the creator hat and the influencer hat at the same time versus just being a creative sort of team?
Yeah. I think like the influencer thing does help like a little bit, because like that's how I initially got like in with Toyota, because it was through an agency, and then when they saw what I did with the agency, they contacted me directly, and asked if I can do like some more videos. So I think it definitely helps. But I think as a creator, you can still like do a lot, because like companies are opening up a lot now. Because I mean, obviously they don't want to pay like millions when they can pay like a few $100K, you know. It's like, it's a no-brainer. So I think definitely they're gonna open up.
I kind of see it as like social media has been both a blessing and a curse in many sort of respects, where it's kind of taken the big budget TVC sort of structures that the industry is typically sort of operated on, and it's kind of said either cool, it's replacing that, or it's at least I'm going to say complementing that. We're saying, okay, cool, they're going to take a 5 million rand sort of ad spend that they would have had on one big production, and now they're going to distribute it across 20 or 30 different smaller style pieces with smaller sort of production teams that then are used across mostly social media channels or various different niche sort of platforms, which I think is immensely beneficial for us as sort of freelancers, because there's a lot more opportunity there. But it does mean that the industry, I think, is changing a little bit. Is there still scope for sort of the television commercial sort of style things to be, I'm going to say, is that something still worth focusing on for us as creators, or is that kind of a dying industry now?
I think there is a place for it, but like the thing that I see lacking with the smaller groups of creators, if you're creating for a big brand, is there needs to be someone that's going to pull together like the different content with their marketing idea. And when you're working with different groups of creators, or different productions, like you really have to make sure that you pull it together to have value for the company, like marketing wise, to have a clear message, and like to really ensure that the content that gets produced is like, it has the right intention and the right message. I was recently at a marketing event where this guy was explaining, like they did a massive survey of about 5,000 people, and the clients thought that they gave a clear brief like 87% of the time. So they thought they were giving pretty clear briefs. The agencies voted that they only received a clear brief 5% of the time. So if you look at this,
what a ratio.
Statistically, like there's a massive problem there where like somewhere along the lines communication gets lost, and I think that's when like you don't get the value out of the video that you should for the client, because they're thinking they have this great idea and like it's going to get executed. But like the agency doesn't know what to do. And sometimes, similarly with the video productions that I do at least, like sometimes the client doesn't know what they want. And then you have to come in and like kind of pitch them what you think you can do, but you don't know if that's actually what they want, right? So
how can we better go about like actually like getting clients to understand sort of the lingo that we sort of
This is what you want. So this is what you want.
Because when we're creating in like an influencer way also, and I think Vorster is maybe one of the better like experience, it has got a lot of experience in this. Like you make influencer content that fits your style. But when you're making something for a client, it's got to also fit their style. But trying to merge the two into something that like you put your stamp on it, but you also have to like bring their overarching message in, is something that's like an art in itself.
Yeah, because like a lot of times it actually takes away from you, and like at the end of the day, it's like 30% your style and like basically 70% like what they want. So you have to be able to like compromise on your style. But yeah.
Yeah, for the creators that kind of, I'm gonna say, look up to the work that you've been doing, or at least see the brands that you're collaborating with, and they're very excited about that, at least from what we can see on your like personal socials. Is there sort of a best technique to go about reaching out to brands, not specifically in the automotive sort of space, but in general? What's the best sort of approach to actually get them to respond, ideally not 3 years later, but with some kind of positive intent to get some kind of collaboration going?
I think a big thing is just like doing the first thing for free, and just like that's what I normally do. I still do stuff for free, because it's like it's worth it when you like invest like a little bit for like something that can get you a lot of money in the future. So that's what I normally do. I would pitch an idea, and then just like say, cool, I'll do the first one completely for free, like literally in like no strings attached. And then after that, hopefully they like it. And if they do, hopefully they come back and ask for more. Because I mean, I would rather like invest like a little bit, like even like some of the car videos and stuff, like it costs like a few grand in like fuel alone. But like rather like invest that little bit and they come back and they say like, cool, we have a few 100,000 that we can put towards a video. And then you make that money back. So I would say that's like the easiest way to go about it. But don't like give them too much. Like,
you got to keep some of the sauce.
Like you always have to hold back a little bit. I always feel like don't give anyone your best work, because then you can't go up from there. Because like I don't know. I just feel like don't try too hard, because like you always have to like up the previous one, you know. So like do a lot, but don't go all the way. Like go like 95, and then just like every time like a little bit more.
Well, this kind of goes a lot against like what we used to believe in, which is like kind of to always over deliver and under promise. Mm-hmm. Like I hate it when the expectation is there and like you think you can do it, but you know you got to actually do better just to like retain the clients. Yeah. I don't know how you guys go about it.
I think for me that's true a lot in shooting like events and festivals. A client will expect you to make like a feature film level thing, and they've got like no lights.
Yeah,
I don't know what you want me to do, and then they'll complain afterwards.
I can film the pyrotechnics, but they need to be pyrotechnics.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's you can only promise so much at a time. But I mean, that's for me limited to like event stuff. I don't.
Yeah, it's a very difficult balance to kind of sort of strike there, but like when you've sort of then given them sort of a product, especially in the sort of car space that you've been dealing with, and then you obviously want to entertain those conversations of, okay, cool, can we continue working together thereafter? Do you immediately sort of go in with, okay, cool, let's pitch a retainer sort of structure, or is it just kind of the next one?
I have tried with retainers, but I don't know. I don't think like these big companies, they're not really keen on doing that. Because I think because they already kind of have that thing with their agency that they already have to pay. So they're like, we're already getting this stream of income. If we need something different or something that's like, because like the agencies and stuff, they do like the, you know, the prim and proper, like clean cut stuff. And like, I don't know, I'm not that into that, because like I'm not really good at like shooting like cool stuff, you know. I don't know.
You can give yourself a bit more credit than that.
Good at shooting cool stuff.
I don't know how to say it. Like
more like
I don't see,
high production.
Yeah, I don't see myself as like a good filmmaker. So I would just like slat a few shots and like make them quick with a few flares in between and a cool song, and then it's like it's good to go, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think like they have like the agencies for one reason, and then they'll get like someone else to do like something quick and exciting, or something just different. Because I think a lot of them are looking for something different now, because like everything is so the same, like with the whole like social media space as well. Everything is so the same. It's probably like the same for you guys. You go on like Instagram and you see like the same Instagram spots that you've been seeing for the last like 6 years, and like the same people posting the same content, like
And
you
the
want,
same audio.
yeah, and you want something different, you know, you want something different. And the problem is like you get caught into like that kind of loop, because it's like, if you want to do well on social media, you have to go with the trends, you know. And it's like, it kind of like drains you as a creator, because like you don't want to go with, that's why you're a creator, because you have to be unique, you know. Yeah, so it is different.
Do you think from a brand's perspective now, and this is just to everyone sort of thing, like, are brands still able to be unique on social media, or they're kind of being forced into kind of following the trends that everyone's sort of doing and trying to, I'm going to say, follow the trends, but not riskily enough, where they're still trying to be, you know, very protective over the brand sacred identity and whatnot, because they have to be, because you know, things get taken out of context very quickly. So they're trying to kind of follow the edgiest sort of social media trends in a very safe and conservative way, and it ends up, in my opinion, just being a little bit flat. Do brands have a choice? What else can they do?
I think, I don't know if you've seen, this is like a very odd example, but Ryanair,
Yes.
they have such, I don't know who's doing it.
On TikTok.
Yes, it's so funny. Like, they just post, it's just shit posting. And KFC Portugal as well. I don't know if you've seen.
KFC Portugal, specifically.
Specifically KFC Portugal.
Your TikTok is very niche.
It is. I will give you, it's very weird. But KFC it's like, I'll use Ryanair because it's a more general example. They just post, it feels like an individual creator has been given, here you go, here's the login, go make some funny stuff.
I think Ryanair and Duolingo are probably the two like genius TikTok marketing things that have been done by companies. But like you said, they almost, it's like they take an individual and just give them free rein. Or like, you don't have to adhere to any of the brand rules or general rules of society. Just hide behind this giant owl mask or this giant plane thing and do what you want, as long as it's not, you know,
But
inciting the riots.
That's kind of become their like brand identity, and I think companies struggle a lot with like having a standout brand identity nowadays, where everything is the same in this sea of nothingness or sameness. And a lot of content that we see is user-generated content. So you give the brand identity to the user to kind of explore like what they want to make for this brand, or you give them a brief and then they come up and put their own personal flair to it. Like, it's a very, brand identities have become more personalized and kind of niche, in the sense that like the content that we see of brands in even Cape Town is different from the content someone sees in Durban from the same brand, if it's like an international company. But it's got like a local touch to it, which is quite a interesting thing, and I think it resonates a lot more with the local audience if it's done in that way. If you can still have a little bit of the brand identity in it, but you put like a local flair on it, it can be so much more effective than just slapping like a big brand identity on everything and trying to make your content the same, like internationally, or like even in the same parts of our country, because our country is so diverse.
As creators, obviously, I think we almost, not forced, but we have the opportunity to represent ourselves a lot on social media and get a lot of attention on the various platforms that we wouldn't have been exposed to, you know, 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. Are we also being forced to kind of change the way we represent ourselves and at least put our kind of work forward, or the way we present work forward to clients as well? Are we forced to use these social media channels a bit more and a bit differently?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I think it helps to sort of just put your work out there. So for me, like on my main Instagram, I don't really post myself ever. It's just sort of the work that I do. Recently, you just go out on missions with friends, and you film some cool stuff and you post that. But that to me is still like a reflection of my work. It's like, cool, here's what I can do with a camera. And I think that's obviously the best way to reach a brand. Or like an agency, for example. I think through TikTok and Instagram, a few agencies have sort of reached out, and you get work by showing your work, which I think like 5 years ago that never happens. So it has opened the industry, I think, in a certain way, but at the same time, it does limit you with your own freedom of expression, that you always want to put like very good work out, and you can't really put experimental stuff out.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think all of us have created a lot of long form and short form content, whereas there are some people who kind of are stuck on Instagram because they can just do short form. Like, they can't make long form content, or they haven't. And I think we started doing it at a good time, where there was still like YouTube was a thing, and like Instagram and now TikTok, and like we got to experiment and create on a lot of different platforms, not to just limit ourselves to like, I still post some stuff on LinkedIn every now and then, like that's the thing. Facebook every 3 years, but but
The only room for Facebook now is Facebook Marketplace.
literally.
or people's birthdays, you know. Like, so we I think are safe in that sense, because we haven't just limited our craft to one platform, and that's dangerous. Like when TikTok got banned in the US, like if you were a TikTok creator in the US, there goes your job over like one legislative thing. But to have the skills to create across multiple different platforms and genres, and like for different clients, is at the end of the day what's going to get you through it. Like as we evolve, you got to evolve with the time.
I think it's been such an amazing tool and opportunity that we have to use social media as well, because Vorster, like you were saying, a lot of the time the bigger companies are only tied down to working with bigger agencies, and that's kind of the relationship that exists, and all the subset of creators are the ones kind of who have relationships with these agencies, and sometimes they get work through that. It's not very reliable, and they've got no real direct sort of tie to the brands. But oftentimes now I think social media is allowing us to kind of break that sort of bridge. Sucks to be an agency sometimes, but then brands can very often go directly to creator, seeing the work that they're putting out and saying, okay, cool, this is the person that I want to sort of spearhead this. I think if we look at someone like maybe Peter McKinnon as an example, obviously he's an amazing creator, but I don't think outside of social media he necessarily started off being able to execute the biggest campaigns for, you know, some giant brands that he's worked with, especially some of those outdoor American brands, which are awesome as anything. But I think because he's built up such an amazing sort of online presence, it's immediately said, okay, cool, the brand can go directly to him, and then he organizes sort of the team from there. And I think the way that social media has allowed us to reframe the way we go about storytelling and presenting ourselves has also made us a lot more reachable for brands and companies and individuals that want to work with us. Like, I don't know how much interest sake, like, of your sort of work percentages that come from clients, how much of it is like directly reached out through social media?
Yeah, like referrals is where it's at. Like I post a lot on socials, and that's just to showcase like work. It's not to get new clients necessarily. If most of the time when I get a new client that's worthwhile keeping, it'll be through a referral of someone, a previous client, or like a friend or family. And yes, they will go check socials, like to make sure you produce the quality of work, but like that's all in your network, and your network expands with
like
time.
every job leads to the next job.
Yeah.
And then it's obviously super important for us to kind of keep those relationships and stuff intact once they actually kind of come from social media into the real world sort of space. How important do you think it is for us to still have relationships with agencies, particularly, or bigger production companies to work with?
I think it's something that I've only looked into the last year, or something that's only happened really the last year. And just to get like a little bit of a foot in the door, it's a whole new space and scene that people study degrees for, you know, and get pushed into the more like agency client sphere, where the productions are bigger. But as like a small creator coming from direct to client relationship and then going into bigger budget productions and bigger productions, it's like kind of your work gets less, and it's very like more, it's very niche, the little job that you have. Like if you're shooting on a big set and you're shooting photos, you might literally just be there to pick up the camera and shoot. Like you have someone with a wire checking and editing live, or like doing the selects while you're shooting. So and it's a rented camera. Like that's how Virgin Active does their stuff. The guy who's in there like shooting picks up the camera, he's shooting, and yes, he'll do the editing afterwards, but like on the day, he's just worried about getting that shot and like frame it correctly with the correct, not even settings sometimes. It can be like someone else doing the settings. He's just there to get the composition, shoot it, and make sure he gets the shot.
Yeah, that's something that I was, I'm going to say, very naive to. I didn't come from a traditional sort of film school sort of background. I studied a molecular biology degree and then did a prompt left turn similar to what you did, Henry, out of university. I was like, okay, cool, this camera thing is fun. Let me learn how to do that. And then you kind of become an all-in-one sort of creator. And then you get to a sort of level where all of a sudden you're working with bigger teams, and then you understand sort of the cogs that go into the much bigger productions all the way up to sort of movie levels, which I'm nowhere near understanding, but slowly starting to understand, okay, cool, there's someone who's responsible just for this thing, focus pulling, the specific colorist who just, make sure that everything looks pretty after the time, never mind all the other bits and pieces, and starting to understand how different all those sort of roles are and how important they all are. But I think maybe from all of our perspectives, because we've kind of evolved as all-in-one sort of creators, how difficult is it sort of making that step to letting go of bits and pieces of everything? Like Oli, is it difficult in the festival sort of situation, having people come in and help you with that? Or is it just something that you're like, okay, this is exciting, now I can do more?
I think with festivals, like it's nice to be able to delegate and just say, hey, I know you'd love to shoot main stage, but please, can you go get these brands for me? Go get brand interaction, brand engagement. Because that thing, I hate having to like stage brand shots. It's like you see somebody drinking a particular drink that the client wants to emphasize. You have to go and say, oh, would you mind like posing with this or like doing this kind of thing? I dislike that sort of engagement. Social anxiety.
You can say that you hate it.
Social anxiety. But I don't hate it. It's just social anxiety. I don't want to go up to this random stranger and engage. I'd rather focus on getting like a really cool shot of the main stage, the biggest artists. And it's cool to like delegate that way. But I find more with, like for Pled Rage, we had to do shoot days beforehand, sort of like proper set and you have actors and everything. And there I had to perform every role, like producer, everything. And that sucked. So being able to, I think, wherever I can, I would delegate. Like if there's budget for a producer, get one. Because I think it allows you to hone in on one particular thing and just do that really well.
Yeah, the tricky thing though is that magical word of budget, where a lot of the time it's kind of not a race to the bottom, but oftentimes we're competing with other creator teams who are either all-in-one sort of creators or small production houses, and it is kind of a price is definitely a factor, and conveying sometimes to clients, look, I can deliver at a budget of X, but if I have a budget of 3X, I'm not going to take that extra 2X margin. That 2X margin is going to other people that are going to assist with everything. Like it's a fine balance to kind of try and work out with everything.
Yeah.
How are you guys finding the relationship between kind of like shooting and editing? Because I know we kind of do a lot of everything. What are your kind of preferences for all of that?
I would prefer just shooting. Yeah. Because I feel it's like free money. If you just go out and shoot, you didn't have to deal with anything. Everything will go to the editor. So if someone complains, it's not on me. It's the editor.
What happened on the day happened on the day.
It is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, I prefer just shooting. I do edit as well, but yeah, shooting it's where it's at.
I mean, same. Also, like I kind of have oscillated between preferring shooting and editing, and like kind of where I think at least my strength is. I mean, where other people see your strength is subjective to them. But like when I started out, I thought that editing was more where I'm like better at in terms of relative skill level. And then now I'm getting to that point where I prefer shooting rather than doing editing. I think I add more value to higher budget productions shooting rather than editing. And I think my editing game is lacked there again. So, I mean, that process of kind of balancing it out, I think it's very much a balancing act of different skills that you are trying to improve at the same time and like grow in certain avenues, whether that's sound production, color grading, cutting, like shooting, and all of the things that comes together and binds a project as a whole, where things grow at different rates, and then where something's lacking, you kind of have to work that up a little bit, otherwise it becomes skewed. Or you just have to decide, okay, like Skulk, I'm just going to be a shooter. Like I know that's where my natural inclination is and talent. I'm going to just focus on that. And then you get people who are editors. But those are difficult to find a proper editor.
Yeah.
But that's also like within editing, there's so many different aspects. Like you need to master, if you are going that route, like visual effects, then sound design. And you mentioned like color grading. Like all of these are such, they're jobs on their own.
Yeah, literally.
That you have to learn how to do. Otherwise, and like somebody else maybe can do a similar job for cheaper. And you have to work out like, okay, how much effort am I going to put into grading this properly or putting like hours into sound design. Yeah, because I think shooting is fun, but it is sort of, if you're shooting on a bigger set where you've got people sorting lighting, or even if there isn't any lighting, it's just problem solving ish on the day, and you can only do your best. But you can go through like 10 rounds of revisions on edits if a client doesn't like sound design or color.
Yeah, I find the shooting component is always quite defined by the time slots in which everything needs to happen, and then it's done. So you do as much as you can in the day, and you work like a dog sometimes, and you're sweaty and exhausted, and you don't eat, and sometimes you don't sleep, setting everything up and all of that, and sometimes your back is a bit sore from carrying sandbags, but other than that, it's a very enjoyable experience. But in the editing side of things, it's such a mystery of how long is this actually going to take. You can guesstimate, and you think this is going to take this long, and then a computer crashes, and then a drive is corrupt, or whoever shot this didn't shoot it in the right picture profile, and then all sorts of headaches start sort of appearing, and suddenly what you estimate as a 6-hour sort of thing turns into 20 hours very, very easily. Client doesn't care, they just want it delivered yesterday. And it's so difficult kind of defining where that sort of...
Yeah, because often you work with a set budget and like you got to get it done. And I'm very guilty of this, being so overly optimistic about how long it's going to take to finish something. Like so overly optimistic. I'm like, 4-hour job, I got this. And then like 10 hours later, you're still busy. And then the export takes like 20 minutes. And then I've exported like a 5 gig file. And I'm like, oh wait, but I muted the one track. So I have to like unmute it and then export it again and upload the 5 gig file. So uploading often takes like an hour, just exporting and uploading. And you've got to bill for that somehow, or like work it into your budget, because it's time that you are taking away from doing something else, which could be editing or shooting. So it's a tricky one.
That's the kind of time though that I feel like a lot of us, or at least me in my personal perspective, I feel too guilty ever charging for that kind of time, where it's just the exporting time or the uploading time or the dumping footage after a shoot sort of time. It's that rudimentary sort of things that have to happen and that sometimes expand if a computer is dying out or if internet is down or something like that. It still takes a lot of time. You can't really do anything else in the interim because your machines are working. But it's something that you can't really say to a client, okay, cool, I'm going to charge you 6 hours for how long it's going to take me to export this 6-hour conference video.
Yeah.
For smaller budget stuff, I kind of tried to work it in, because with a longer budget, there's like more efficiency involved in setting up a project and like getting the files on the computer. Where with a small project, if you're only doing like an hour or 2-hour shoot, that time that you take to set up the project and like dump the footage, that doesn't get shorter just because it's like a smaller project. It's still the same time. So I'll often try to work my pricing for like an hour or 2-hour shoots slightly higher, because I know that admin time is going to be more disproportionate than like a wedding where it's like a 10-hour shoot, but like you get paid also to do like a decent amount of exporting, and there's budget available for that.
I don't know if you guys have played around with, obviously like every single time there's a Premiere Pro update, technically it's a technological advancement. But obviously we're kind of in the early stages of AI integrations becoming part and parcel of what we do in the creative industry. Is this something you guys are nervous about?
Has anyone used the beta version of Premiere Pro?
I haven't. I saw it's there, but I haven't used it.
I
want to use it though.
Yeah, I downloaded it, and after like 2 weeks, I just went back to the old one.
Is it?
It crashed much more than the original one.
That's always
and
with
Premiere is
Pro.
already crashing all this.
Yeah. And they moved some of the stuff around that I'm used to. So now like, a user layout can be more effective when it's new, but like I just, after 2 weeks, I didn't get the hang of it. I was like, screw that. I'm just going back to the old one for now at least.
Are you guys all on Premiere?
Yeah, I want to move to
it?
DaVinci though.
Yeah.
Because have you seen that new update?
Which one?
The newest update is diabolical. I need to use it, but I'm just always scared to like, well, not scared. It's just, it takes time to like learn a new editing software.
You can't say diabolical and then not explain to me what it's saying.
No, I can't remember exactly what it is. I'll have to double check.
Have you seen the relight?
Yeah,
Have you seen that? That's insane.
but that's been on there for ages.
Yeah, it's been there for a while, but it's insane.
Have you used it?
No, I haven't used it because I only use it for color grading.
So the principle is that you can basically mimic where a light source will be coming from.
So if it's like you sitting there now, like your face is in the shadow, you can put a light on you and you can move the light around you.
And ruin all the lighting effort that we went to ahead of time.
Literally, you can just throw it in the program. I don't know how it's going to work with this, but yeah, it's sick. It's so sick.
New and exciting ways to ruin your footage.
Love it. How not to like your videos. One thing that I've tried very recently, it's just an integration that goes with Premiere Pro. I think it's called Autopod. It's basically a software that allows for, I'm going to say, AI assisted editing of like long format sort of stuff. So basically, obviously here it's a bit intense because we've got a lot of camera angles, but say we just got 3 camera angles, or one on sort of me, one wide shot, and then maybe like one on Vorster. If you're then able to sort of label the audio tracks, the video tracks of who it's sort of on, and then you basically click like edit, and it goes through the entire string of footage.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, so
That is insane.
It selects who's speaking, all of that. I've tried it a couple of times now, and provided your actual footage is good, so that the cameras are all where they should be, it works amazingly. It took me like the podcast sort of sessions that I've been doing now are typically between an hour and a half and 2.5 hours. It takes 60 seconds.
No way.
And it is so close to being perfect. Like,
yeah, that's insane.
And like, say we interrupting each other a little bit, it is so good at picking up those bounce backs and just cutting like that.
Yeah.
It is incredible. So the amount of
That's
time
crazy.
saved there is awesome. So I think what I'm really excited about is I don't think AI is going to be something that's going to stuff up what we're doing or limit what we're doing. It's just going to allow us to do more of it more quickly.
It's going to make it better. Have you used the voice thing?
Audio cleanup enhancer.
The enhancer. Yeah.
And every podcast I use it all the time.
Yeah.
It's solid.
Like in any
Dude.
audio, even like if it's clean audio, it just takes it a little bit
It
up.
makes it studio sound.
Does it
It's-
ever take it too far?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Can you dial back those like settings a little bit? Or?
Yeah.
So
So it's like a percentage slider.
Between
you can
100 and
adjust.
0, you can.
Yeah.
I'd often do like 70 or 90%.
Yeah.
I'll give it a try. Maybe I'll do like half the podcast normally and then half. And everyone can comment, those soldiers who actually stick through and watch it can be like, why does this suddenly get
comment
better?
which part you like more.
Because I've done that, like recording somebody's voice outside with an iPhone, and then you just chuck it in there, and it comes out sounding as if it's recorded indoor with a proper mic.
Yeah.
No, that's very exciting to sort of try. I think especially because part of what we do is oftentimes also relying on other people's stuff. And like you said, if someone stuffs up while they're shooting, they're just like, oh, I'm sorry, it is what it is. And then you kind of have to fix all these things afterwards. Or say here, like one of our mics bugs out and now we've got to rely on one of the cameras here that's not working. I hope that doesn't happen. But then you kind of hopefully can salvage a project that would otherwise be impossible to.
That's actually literally for Pled Rage. We had to do, well, we didn't have to, but I wanted to do interview artists, and the only way we could apparently organize these interviews was doing it backstage, while the festival's going on.
Oh my days.
So we have to now interview artists and try get clean audio backstage. Luckily, we just decided to do it in somebody's car, which ended up looking pretty cool. But we forgot, so we did 2 cameras in the car, and we forgot to turn the receiver on for the interview. And you don't want to have like a 20-minute interview of this artist. He's just finished, he wants to chill. And you go like, oh, do you want to do that 20-minute interview again?
Just one small piece.
Just give us the exact same answers, but just one more
energy,
time.
Just
Yeah. And luckily the other camera was on, I think the audio level was on 4 or something. And we managed to, I just chucked it into the audio enhance, and it fixed it almost perfectly. Just from one audio from the camera, just that wasn't even supposed to be recording audio.
Yeah.
So it's super powerful. It's really, really good.
It's only really when it's blown out that it can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I've had that problem like with a wedding recently where the audio was just blown out, and like I try to wangle the levels, but somewhere coming into the mixer, like from the DJ, there was something that was blasting, and I couldn't fix it even if I went like down to 10% on my recorder, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like you can work with audio that's too soft,
Yes,
but not if it's blasted. Like you can't peaked audio, you can't get back.
Unless you are recording a 32-bit float. I don't know if you know.
I know about it. I don't have that yet.
I don't understand the physics of that. Please explain.
I don't understand the physics either. I
not
just
the
know.
harmonic physics, but like the general principle.
So you can record like way too soft or way too loud. You can just balance it. It's like I also do not understand it at all.
Is
I
it
just
kind
know
of
that
like
it
how a
works.
camera can go from like 12 bits to 16 bit and you just have an extended range of what you can use?
Yeah,
or?
so it's like filming RAW, kind of, with like a red, where you can change your ISO and your white balance in post, and it's fine. It doesn't change the image. It's the same with audio. It can be so loud. You need to bring it way down. Like, it can sound clipped, but you can still save it. It's worthwhile.
No, I think the software front of AI is something that's very exciting for us. On the flip side of that, do you think any elements of what we're doing now are going to be replaced, and clients are going to be like, I don't actually need anyone to do this for me? How far away are we from that?
I don't know. I think we won't necessarily get to that point that quick, but I'm very mindful of how kind of saturated social media is at the moment, and like the amount of like users and attention that's on social media at this point in time. Because we've had like a couple of years where people are like really convinced in terms of spending money on social media, but I don't know how long that's still going to be the case. It depends on how long like people's attention span is on social media, and like how I see a lot of people, because of the level of quality that's on socials, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at this point, people are kind of getting a bit discouraged to create content, and more people are turning into users on the platform rather than creators. So the percentage of people that are creating is like becoming a bit less, and some people are even switching the app off like completely and deleting their accounts. So as long as there's still growth in social media, and I think even after that, like TV, the whole TV scene, when the industry reaches the maturity, there's still money to be made in it now, and like still people who do watch TV. But I'm very mindful of like when we are going to see a dip, if we are seeing a dip. And like I think Instagram has been good, innovating constantly. Like they add new features every year, and like it's really to the point of kind of I look at the app in awe sometimes with like how many user-friendly stuff that they've added, and really tried to like enable tools on the app that gets people to create more and like create easier. So I think they're doing a very good job at it. I think how long people are willing to like spend money on Instagram is going to be limited to like where the attention is at any point in time.
Do you think we're being forced to change the way that we present stories or tell brand stories, tell our own stories because of how social media is developing?
Yeah. I think like just people's attention spans. You don't have time to craft like a long story that tells a brand story unless it's a brand that people really want to engage with. Like you can take a brand like Nike, for example. People will watch a longer piece of content from them if it's done well enough. But if you take a smaller brand, it's so hard for them to really like get a foothold in longer form content where people's attention span is average of like 7 seconds. So you can't really... Two.
Yeah, less than 2 now.
Yeah,
it went down.
Vertical scrolling.
Yeah, like
you gotta be quick.
Yeah, so it's you only have like 2 seconds a lot of the time to catch somebody's attention, and then from there maybe you have another 8 to 10 seconds to tell a story. So it has definitely changed the way that we make content, I guess.
No, it's such a weird thing. Have you guys seen the latest Chasing the Sun documentary?
Not
I
yet.
want to watch it.
Yeah.
None of you guys
You
have
hear
seen
about it all the time.
It is insane. It's so well done.
Yeah.
Nice like hour-long episodes, and just the way that they've structured the storytelling there is just such an amazing...
I feel like longer form content is like coming back now.
I think so too.
Because like everyone is like kind of tired of like the short form, like the 6-second reels and stuff like that. Because like that's what we were kind of like forced to create. But I feel like everyone wants to see something for longer, because like even me, if I'm like making food and stuff, like I'm not gonna go and like put on a YouTube video that's like 1 minute long.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something that's at least like 15 minutes long that you can watch while like eating your food. That's why I think like that Sam Schiller guy is doing so good, the bodybuilding guy. He's doing insane, and he literally no editing. He just like puts his camera there, just like does his thing like all day long. And he does really, really good. He does really good. Like he just blew up. Like I think it was like 3 mil in like 1 year on YouTube, which is insane.
There was on a similar note, there was an awesome interview that was done between Mr. Beast and the YouTubers Colin and Samir. They had like a podcast thing chatting about his brand deal with Amazon to release his limited series, which is exciting in its own. But in that, he was mentioning how he's actually now pushing his content to be a bit longer. So instead of, because he's kind of the pinnacle of like condensing the storytelling. So I'm not going to say he's to blame for everything becoming shorter, but I mean, he kind of set the benchmark of you know, shorter is better. And he says he's pushing his content now from that 10-15 minute range past the 20-minute range a lot more, just to extend the way that stories are sort of told. And I think you hit on there. I think that trend is coming back. Where, you know, we're starting to want a little bit of a slower sort of pace because our brains can only operate at 120% for so long before they.
But also, I think people have kind of woken up to the idea of like you don't get that much value out of content on social media, out of reels. Like you, except if you're watching Oli's video on how to like make a title. Like that was one of the most
sick. That was so sick. I love that video. I was like, okay, I'm gonna use that.
So like the educational content is coming to social media, but the real value in terms of like getting educated on something and learning something new or learning a new perspective and knowledge is really in longer form content. But the attention's got to switch over to that. And if YouTube is the platform for it, I mean, it's withstood the test of time in the last like 10 years, but we'll see where the attention gravitates towards.
Yeah, I feel YouTube will always be there. I think like that's like the safest space you can be in. If you like doing well on YouTube, I think like you're going to be there forever.
You know, YouTube has got a more predominantly male audience as well.
Really?
Yeah. So
makes sense.
I'm not sure what the split is. It's something like 55, 45 or 60, 40, it could be even.
Yeah.
But that's also maybe why we think YouTube is the place.
Yeah.
There was a meme
because like girls don't know any people on YouTube.
Yeah.
Have you ever like spoken to a girl and like mentioned like someone on YouTube? Like they don't know anyone because like they don't really watch YouTube. It's literally like us. And I think like
Just the dudes.
I think it
Look at us, four white males.
Yeah, literally. I think it started from like gaming and stuff, like everyone like watching the gamers and stuff like that. And then just like it was just like male. It was just predominantly males. And it just continued.
I saw a meme the other day on Instagram. It says like when a guy shows you as a girl a YouTube video, it's like showing them a part of your world. Like it's coming from the heart.
But you're right, YouTube is such an integral part, at least for me, for everything. Everyone, let me stop mumbling here. Obviously, I did not study any sort of filmmaking stuff, and a couple of people have asked, you know, how did you kind of get into everything and stuff like that, and passing conversation. I always say, no, YouTube University. That is where I studied. I learned everything from YouTube. It is the search platform that I dedicated every sort of aspect of the learning experience of this, a large part of it too. So it's been such an amazing platform from that perspective, and also one of the only platforms to actually reward the creators that are participating in creating content for that, which I think they've got so right.
Yeah.
And still doing right. But what I wanted to add is when we were in university, one of the reasons why I started watching YouTube and binging YouTube was because with iNetKey in Stellenbosch University, it was the only page plus Google that was free, that you didn't have to pay for. So we could watch YouTube unlimited for free. But if you were browsing anything other than Google and Google sites, because YouTube is under Google, so I was naturally pushed into watching YouTube because I didn't have to pay for it. Like it's the educational thing that you can use without paying for it, because we still had credits like for internet at Eendrag at residence in Stellenbosch, where now I don't think there are credits anymore. So you can basically browse any site. But back then that was the reality. Like I was seeing this place where you can like learn stuff for free and don't have to pay for it. Let's go. YouTube is the way to go.
No, that's so true. Oli, you've recently switched from being educated to being the educator on Instagram. You released a couple of awesome reels for little learning tidbits. What's the inspiration behind that? Why are you sharing the secret sauce?
I think it's a lot of digital products that creators sell are marketed as this thing that's like super valuable and so hard to do. Like you couldn't do this yourself. That's why you need to spend $30 on my set of 10 overlays. Because I think there's so much gatekeeping on filmmaking technique or editing technique, because everybody wants to sell you a product. Because that's, I think, a lot of the reason why people try to build an audience on social media is to sell something to somebody, so to monetize their presence somehow. And I think rather just let people create how they want to create, and if telling people how you create helps them to create something else, I think it's better to have people come to you to learn than have people come to you to buy a sort of a half-baked product.
Love that. Although,
Yes.
watching your latest sort of tutorial, if you were to then in the description of that say that you had all those overlays that you just made like for sale, I would buy that.
Oh, Bruce,
Just to save
I
myself
would
the
have
time.
also bought it.
I'd be highly invested in learning how you did that because it's awesome and it's amazing. But now, to me, to go to the friction point of actually executing on that, I'm glad that the resource is there and that's amazing. But
Without
if
a
you-
discount code, no discount
yeah,
code needed.
no discount code needed, unless you want an affiliate program, you know, we're willing. But if you would then to sort of list everything that you'd had there, I would have bought that sort of in a flash.
Okay, yeah, I suppose that, I mean, thank you. But I think that's where the difference is. I think if you are able to show people how to do it themselves and are like, okay, cool, but if you don't feel like doing it yourself, you can buy this. As I think is a much better way of going about it than like, hey, I do this super basic thing, but I'm going to gatekeep how I do it and sell it to you for $30. It's rather just like, hey, this is actually how you can just do it yourself. Like, yes, you'll make less money, but I think in the long run, it's better for you as a brand, I guess, to be more transparent and just be like, hey, like you can do this yourself, just so you know. But if you don't feel like doing it yourself, you can buy it for this.
Yeah, like save 3 hours of your life and if you want to buy it from us. But I
Yeah.
like the intention of like putting education first and
Yeah.
providing value first
Yeah.
and not just like trying to get attention to sell something.
Yes.
Because like
Yeah.
that's also so fake and people see into it
Exactly.
like right from
Yeah.
the start.
Yeah.
Vorster, I see on your Instagram you've got a bunch of like photo filter presets that are still for sale.
Oh, yes.
Do you still feel there's a market for those sort of digital products?
I don't know. I think I kind of like missed it because I know you guys were doing that like a while ago.
We tried during COVID to release a sort of site where creators could kind of sell
Yeah, and
presets
then-
and stuff.
Yeah, because that was so sick, and I was kind of hesitant because I was like, I don't know if I want like, because like I tried so hard to like get my colors dialed. I didn't like really know if I wanted anyone else to kind of like have that style. But now I'm like I don't really care. Like you should be you no matter like what your colors are or whatever. So that's why I was like kind of hesitant in the beginning of selling. But then I was like kind of late to that party, and yeah, I think like at the moment like it's not as big as it was. If you jumped in on what was it, 2019?
Yeah,
If you jumped in there, you could have made a lot of money. Because I know this one girl, she made presets, and it was okay. I mean, it's like it's not terrible, but it's like it's not the best. But she just marketed it really well, and she made, I think like in 1 month she made like 1.7 mil, which is that's a lot.
South African.
Yeah,
Hectic.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we have kind of missed the boat for like photo presets in particular, where now there's just such an abundance of free resources that allow you to sort of do it yourself that it's a bit like overstimulating in a sense. But I think, in my perspective at least, the market for educational content has become so much bigger. That for me is just growing at a rate of knots. I mean, like Sam Calder's, like Calder Creative sort of course, as one sort of example. I know there's like Art of Documentary, another group of guys that put together. There's some amazing educational resources that are out there now, and I think that's something that's going to continue growing, where it's kind of creators teaching other creators
Yeah.
their stuff, because there's so many people that are kind of not going the film school route now, and they're kind of doing the YouTube University
Yeah.
route, where and everything, you can find everything on social media, I think, but it's about having that nicely packaged, which is actually now a very valuable resource.
Yeah, because Nicholas Crystal, he's also working on that course of his, and I think it's been like 2 years or something that he's just working on that. So I think if that's gonna come out, that's gonna be big, that's gonna be massive. Because I mean, he's putting so much time into that. He's like left YouTube and everything just for that. So.
But I think at the same time, like I think there has to be a line where you draw between like education and experience, whereas like you can take in as much information as you want because there's so much available. But if you're not putting it into practice, like if you're not trying any of this, it doesn't matter. So I think like to me, I always say the best way you can learn is just by doing it. Because that's why I won't say that film school is a waste of time. It's definitely not. But I think a lot of people will go to film school and spend 3 years doing like whatever they do. I don't know, to be honest. But you can learn so much more just by picking up a camera, going out and shooting.
Yeah.
And that way you can very easily, you build a network, because that's also the thing is like you'll go to film school and you'll learn these skills and you'll be really good at what you've decided to major in, whether it be directing, writing, cinematography or editing. And you'll come out and you're a really good editor, but you can't operate a camera. Or you can't direct. And I think the way we've all gone about it was you just pick
do
up
everything.
a camera and you learn how to do everything. You might not be as good as an editor as somebody who majored in editing, but you can still film, you can direct, and then you have the client, and it's just sort of a knock-on effect. And I think just by doing it, you gain so much more than just by theoretical education.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with you on that. I'm in the same philosophical sphere
Yeah.
Of like wanting to do and then learn out of that.
Yes.
And like the more I do something, the more I kind of think that I understand it.
Yeah.
And you make mistakes along the line and like learn from that. It's sometimes a bit of a painful process. Definitely creates more pain than if you would have like studied it before and then like got taught the right way. But then you also kind of know better what not to do and why not to do it.
Yes.
It's kind of that why that sometimes gets left out of education. It's like, do it this way, but they don't tell you why you should not do it in any other way.
Yeah.
But if you make the mistakes yourself, you really learn why.
And I think doing things wrong is also like sometimes super helpful, because like for me, like those, like as a perfect example, those overlay things that I was doing, like those camera settings are whack. Like because I'm shooting on A7S3, obviously it's got the dual native 640 and 12,800. For some time, I'll put the ISO on 10,000 and my f-stop all the way down, my shutter speed at 1/4. And you just throwing this camera around and you get an image that sucks, but then if you use it correctly, like if you just mess it up even more, then
it looks sick.
Then it looks cool.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that you get through doing it rather than learning.
Yeah, I think the education and experience thing is such a critical thing, because you need to go through a lot of self-experimentation to actually figure things out and to go through those learning mistakes. I mean, from my perspective, like I've watched so many videos about it and had so many people tell me, no, you need to shoot on 2 SD cards because one will eventually fail. And you're like, yeah, but that lesson never really lands until it happens. So you also need to kind of make the mistakes and kind of earn the...
Backup audio is a thing.
Backup audio is a
3
huge
audio
thing.
channels, tracks or nothing.
Exactly, yeah. If one of these audio things goes out, like, we're screwed. So, but yeah, it's a difficult thing to sort of balance and work sort of around. How, as obviously we going about doing the dual sort of purpose, where I think all of us are creating quite a bit of content that we enjoy personally and like just putting out to the world, because it's fun. But we're also doing a lot of stuff to kind of keep the, rent paid, food on the table, and we're actually doing it as a sort of profession as well.
Yeah.
How do we balance that? Work, life, and play.
So,
notice the silence after that.
There is no
the balance is difficult to find. When Oli mentioned like the way that he puts his work on his grid, I immediately thought about the time when I kind of transitioned from, because I started shooting just for me and putting out content that's centered around Henry, right? My Instagram, YouTube. And then when I started doing client projects, like it's not about you anymore, right? But along the process, and the more I did it, the more I realized that you do put something of you in the production or in the clip that you put out, the photos. So my identity shifted from like being purely about content that's in me versus like I now finally find identity in putting out content and seeing content that I've produced on the internet. But even though they don't tag me, I don't get recognition for it, there's a sense of like that still gives fulfillment at the end of the day, versus previously where it was like I just want to shoot content for me. Now I actually find fulfillment in putting out content just for the sake of like producing it, which is a really, I think, nice place to be, and it's more selfless, and you can add so much value to the people around you, to your friends, people that are close to you, because you're documenting part of their lives while you are documenting your journey through life, whether that's like a little BTS clip of like running around in your underwear at the flat at night, or like, you know, the stupid things that we do as bachelors, like filming your mates' weddings and things like that. Even though you're not featured in that content, like there's a part of you that identifies with that, and like you can find fulfillment and contentment in that.
No, that's amazing. Oli?
I think for me, because the way that I went about building my career was, I started shooting and immediately just started, okay, cool, I guess I can make money from this. And then you sort of you don't really develop your own style. You're sort of a tool for clients or brands to use, where it's like, cool, we can get this guy to come and shoot because he costs this much and he'll do the job and he'll get it done. And I think that's something I've been working on recently, where there's a huge difference, I think, where you can get a job and you're being paid to work, or you develop your own style and you have something that people approach you for, specifically for you, and then you're being paid to create. And I think that comes a lot where it's like, cool, I have my own style. I know how I would make this film. I know how I would promote this brand. And they approach you and like, this is our general idea. How would you go about doing this? And then you actually have a say. Because I mean, you were saying earlier where it's, a client will approach you and then you'll make this video and it's like 30% of what you want. I find sometimes it's even less. Like you do your best to give what you want, and then the brand will want, we don't like that. It just gets changed so much where it's like, you really could have gotten anybody to do this. I don't know why you got me. And I think for me right now, what I'm trying to do, I'm posting every day, I'm trying to do it for the rest of the year, is you develop your own style and people see that style. It's like, okay, we like what you do. We'd like you to create something for us. And I think that for me is, there's no real balance there. It's just go, go, go.
So you posting for the style development now?
Yes.
Because I thought you were still posting about the Instagram ban.
No, that's not fixed.
That
was fixed like 2 weeks ago. And yeah, I think now it's also to develop my own style, where you just have to, again, it's like experience over education, is you can know as much as you want about cameras, but if you don't know how to use it to create the feeling or the vibe you want, it doesn't really make a difference. So that for me is like what I'm aiming for, is being paid to create rather than being paid to work.
Yeah. That's super nice.
But the style you have now is sick. I love it.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
So
trying to evolve.
Yeah, always good.
Yeah.
Because I think that's maybe where most of us want to get to, that point where client approaches you saying they want something created in your style versus them coming with a brief. Because I think when you are the ideator and the executor of an idea, you generally hit it spot on. And like, that's why we love passion projects.
And you'll also work harder.
Yeah.
You'll work a lot harder because you want to make it perfect.
Exactly. Like it's your idea and you carrying this, growing this thing forward and like responsible for it at the end of the day. I know you really like passion projects. I sneak them in now and then where I can. But that's also where a lot of skills development happens, because with passion projects, you're willing to like try new ideas and things and there's not the risk of the client not liking it, or like you messing up the budget or going overtime, because it's all on you. And so I think the finding the balance and time for passion projects in your creative schedule is like that important for skills development more than anything else as well.
It's like what you said, it's like you investing in yourself. You take on a passion project that you'll do for free or for very little money. It's just an investment into your skill, your brand, your business.
I feel like that's how clients can actually get a lot more out of creatives. If they say like, cool, we have this idea, make it how you would want to make it. Because then they would pay like half the price that they would normally for like a lot that they would pay someone else to do it for, like, how do you say it? Like, they will just get a lot more bang for their buck, because you would try to make it perfect, because this is like your project, this is your name writing on it. So that's how you would probably like get a good project.
Even not putting a time on shoots, like in terms of saying you have to shoot at 11. Like if you've got a project that you can work on and the client wants output, but they're like, you can organize it all, you can shoot sunrise, shoot sunset, like choose the best times of the day. And I mean, about 2 years ago, I was doing a lot of projects where a client was like, it's 11 to 1, and that's it. Like, you're shooting middle of the day, we need you then. Which often sucks because like you don't get to work with the best lights of the day or like the best time.
Yeah, and they still expect a good product.
Yeah, they still expect a good product. Where now, like, I'm getting shoots here and there where I can shoot any time of the day. I can really choose the type of lighting that I want, and then that way the client also gets the best product out of it.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult balance to sort of strike because it's the chicken or the egg sort of approach where you kind of need to show that first so that they can trust you to have your own sort of personal style, but you have to make time for that first, and it's a whole cycle that we kind of get caught in, especially because it's daunting as a freelancer in particularly, because if you're not doing something that's bringing you an income, you're at zero. You are just losing money in that case. There's no stable check that comes in at the end of every month. It's kind of a case of, okay, cool, if I'm not working on New Year's Eve, I'm losing money. It's you
can use it to deduct from tax.
Yes.
So you can bring it back.
This is why we have you here. Full circle.
He has a positive way of seeing anything.
Yeah, like if I'm doing a shoot for free, I'm deducting that petrol that I spent to get there, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm shooting promotional content at a lodge or whatever, like, and you're paying for that night to shoot, deduct it from tax. Like it always wants you to spend money on stuff that generates better income for your business, and if that's one of those things, then like make sure that it is in accordance to like SARS's compliance, but use it as marketing expense. I don't push stuff I don't boost posts on socials. That's another way you can like have a marketing expense. Some wedding photographers spend like 60k on boosting posts just to reach people in the year, but they get paid like 40k for a wedding. So if they book 2 weddings, like that's it, spend back, but you can deduct those things from tax. So if you're doing a shoot for free, then go for it.
Have either of you three, not either of you three,
I'm gonna get him to do my books for me. Just pay me.
and you're just gonna manage all the creators. Optimize.
Creative accounting.
There we go. Creative accounting, that's brilliant.
Just get us all arrested for tax evasion so you get all of the clients.
Marcus, you was the...
Yeah, no, I think we've got to make tax fraud like a theme that has to come up in every episode somehow.
I think Matt had a tax book. You had a book at one stage that you like just read every now and then. Like Matt, who studied BSc molecular biology.
Yeah, I had a roommate. He did some accounting degree, and I asked him at the end of the year if I could use his like tax book, and it was like, you know, thick boy like that, like one of those very dense things that you don't want to read. It's not fun to read.
No, of course not. It's a business thing.
I still haven't finished the thing. It's quite embarrassing, but I mean, sat down there and, you know, toilet time reading. Let's call it that. I think one thing I'd like to maybe wrap up on from everyone is obviously we've now progressed a little bit in the industry, not to the point of making it or being anywhere, but we've got to a point where I think we can confidently say that we can sustain ourselves as we go about by doing creative projects. And now there are a lot of people that are where we were 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, who are just starting out. Either they've just come out of film school, they're about to go into film school, or they're sitting in an accounting class thinking, I don't want to do tax. I want to make some videos. Where would you guys start? If everything was taken away, you were taken 5 years back in the past, but like, well, not 5 years back, but just 5 years of experience sort of lost. But with the foresight that you have now, where would you start from here? What would you do as step one? Say you got a Sony A6500. Let's keep with the Sony theme.
Okay, we have a camera.
Yeah,
okay.
you have a camera. So that's step one. We have a camera and we got a computer that can probably edit it. Where do we go from there?
I would say post shit on YouTube. Just post a bunch of shit, because like the thing is for us, like we don't want to post a bunch of shit on YouTube now, because it's like, you know, like you want to keep it to like this standard, but like when you're just starting out, it's gonna be shit. So just post it, just like let it live there, like you will grow. Well, that's what I feel.
Use like 5 of your swear word buffers.
He's used all of ours.
7 down.
Yeah, you can just beep all of them out.
I think getting started is...
Yeah, my whole
most
conversation will just be like beep, beep, beep.
I think it's important to post stuff, like, and to get a feel of how it looks when you post it. I was at a Rich Nisi event last year, and they spoke a lot about like what, or the amount of time that gets spent thinking how their art is going to get presented. Like when they present a piece, whether it's furniture or clothing or like any other art that they make, I'm not sure what they do. They do a lot of things. They spend time before it's completed thinking like where it's going to be presented, and to make sure that like is in accordance to what the people who look at the art or like use the art, see the art, what they want. So that you refine that by posting. But I would also consider looking at like the types of shoots that you want to shoot, and then hitting up different people who like organize festivals, go to an event, shoot for free, and like show them what you can do, and really build a relationship with people who can provide shoots in the future. Like at the end of the day, it's all about the network.
Yeah, and also like, yeah, literally just like your friends. Like if your friends are also shooting, you will like develop skills together. Because like you guys are all better than me. Like I look up to all of your guys' videos, and I'm just like, how do you guys do this?
Well, we look up to yours. So
No,
this is a problem
I don't
here.
even know what I'm doing. I literally like just cut it like really quick with like a quick song and everything, and there let it go. No, because like I look at like even like the match cuts that you did like on that one video a while ago. Like people don't know how long that takes. Like that takes so much time. And like I don't think like people on Instagram expect it to take that long, because like they just watch the video, it's like 10 seconds, you know. Yeah. But it's like that took you like 5 hours to do, you know. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think two of the most important things, I mean, that I did, I was very lucky early on. Like meeting you, I think was probably one of the biggest things for my career, because there was instantly like, okay, cool. Now this has turned into something I earn income from. It's not just like I have fun. Like I can do this to a standard where I'm able to earn money from it, and I'm able to build the savings to improve my gear. And while I'm doing that, I'm getting better at what I do. So I think the first is to meet people. Meet people who are in the industry, who you know get work, who you know can pass on work to you, and maintain those relationships. And I mean, what I did for the first like 3 years, I spent money on nothing. It was just all going back into gear. And that puts you in such a good spot going into the future. Because I mean, I think now, I've been speaking to some guys who are sort of just starting their freelance career. And they ask, what should I buy? Like, what gear should I get? And I think you can have a video production company with a 10-bit Sony, a light, and a microphone. Like, really and truly, like, that's all you need. And then I think so you don't need to worry too much about gear. It's just about improving skills.
Yeah, because like any camera nowadays is good.
Yeah.
You're not going to buy a bad camera. Like basically anything you get is like 4K now. So.
And even if you do buy a bad camera, just make it look like film.
Yeah. You're literally. Yeah.
Release your presets.
Just buy de-hancer.
Yeah, but it's true. I also agree with that. I feel like make friends with people who are better than you, and you will learn so quickly.
Yeah.
It's one thing that I am embarrassed about not having done earlier, which I wish I had. I was a bit too proud to make mistakes where people could see me making mistakes. So I wanted to learn those mistakes by myself, and I learned a lot in that process. But it would have got there so much quicker if you find someone in the industry who's made all those mistakes already and assist them in any way possible. Find the shoots that they're going on, whether it's the projects that you want to be working on or just the people that you want to be working with. Hit them up and see how you can offer value to them, whether it's carrying a light or just holding an extra thing or just making sure that the batteries aren't dying on a camera. Anything you can do, you're going to learn so much from those people that are going to put you years in advance of what you're trying to get towards. And that's something I wish I'd done from day one, is learning from people who know more than I do already. And also understanding that they're keen to share their knowledge as well. It's not, people aren't trying to gatekeep all of this stuff. If they are, then they're a bit confused. But I think so many of the creators are just so keen to collaborate with other people that they will jump at the opportunity to help anyone out who's learning and will do their utmost to teach them all the different things along the journey as well.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm always on the look for people who are up and coming, who like kind of, I think, have the right mindset in terms of wanting to do different type of shoots, like diverse shoots, and really want to get into work. Because at the end of the day, like, you need to be in a certain mindset to want to grow, like, and take 2 or 3 years to get there. Like,
Like a
not-
willingness to learn.
Yeah, like a willingness to learn is at the end of the day what's really important when you start, and not like being afraid to push through 2 years of like progress where you don't progress that much, but you learn a lot.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's a perfect spot to sort of wrap it up. Thank you for joining for the first sort of creator session, so to speak. I think it was fantastic having a little chat with all three of
Happy
you.
to be here.
Lekker.
So thank you for all the extra cameras as well. I hope the production quality matches that, provided I hit record and everything. That was my job, so if any of the angles are a bit lacking, it's on me. But guys, thank you for joining. If there's anything else you want to say, please go for it. Otherwise, to everyone watching, thank you for joining us. Which camera am I looking at now? This is overwhelming. That one over there. To everyone who joined us, thank you so much. If you have any questions, please hit up any of the comments or descriptions or any of these three gentlemen via the DMs as well. They're all very open fellows. They enjoy answering questions. So yeah, thanks guys. And,
Okay.
until the next one.
Cool.
Yeah, let's go.
Thank you.